Welcome, once again, to Pandora's Box.
I don't have money on my mind. Money on my mind. I do it for the love.
Faith is all. You are listening to Pandora's Box on Aspen Waite Radio. You may also be checking us out on the tubes or on Spotify. I am your host, as always, Mr. Calum Waite. But sometimes a character from deep within takes over, and he is known as Obadiah Pennywhistle. Mr. Drusif Armstrong is not with us this week. He sadly has contracted gonorrhea while in the bush. But
hence why we're all suited up.
Yeah.
In respect.
Yeah, he might not make it. So, if we at any stage quickly need to go and pay our last final respects to him, we are ready. We are ready at any moment. But Mr. Nathaniel Warren is with me as always.
Hello, everybody.
Host of the Rat Radar on Sundays from 8 until 10 p.m.
That's me.
The name today you should be known as Scirocco.
Okay, I can work with that.
Yeah, Scirocco?
I can work with that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So how you doing, Scirocco?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. I had an awkward encounter the other day.
Yeah, tell me about
Dominos.
Tell me about it.
So, I don't know if you've ever tried Dominos Doughballs.
I don't think I have.
Fam, they're so good.
Are they?
They are the peak of food.
Really? I've tried Doughballs. They are delicious. I remember actually one of my sort of strong memories I have as a child is playing GoldenEye on the N64 with my brother on one of those old TVs that were thicker than they are wide.
Yeah.
And eating. Because when you're a kid, you get easy to make food that's delicious. I remember from the supermarket, we'd get Swedish meatballs, but they were microwavable Swedish meatballs. Also just Doughballs. So you'd obviously just chuck the Doughballs in the oven for a couple of minutes, and then we'd have this garlic. We'd buy this garlic dip, garlic butter dip.
Yeah.
Mate, just Swedish meatballs with ketchup, a plate of that, and then just a plate of Doughballs with garlic butter. So I obviously am a fan of the Doughball, but I've never tried Domino's ones.
So Domino's ones, they're called twisted Doughballs. Incredible. Whoever came up with them, genius.
Twisted in terms of their spirit, so they've turned to the dark side.
Maybe that's how they good.
Or physically twisted.
Physically twisted, right. I reckon.
Right.
They're basically you could have cheese, ham, or pepperoni. And it's essentially just a pizza, but twisted up sort of. So it's got a bit of garlic in there. It's got a bit of cheese. Ooh. It's got the pepperoni, obviously, if you go for that. It's real stringy. So good, man. So good. But they got rid of them for a while.
Why is that?
God knows.
I have to say, while it does sound absolutely amazingly delicious, I'm not sure. Does that even still qualify as a Doughball, though? What it sounds almost like it was just
it's almost like a pizza.
It's like a twisty pizza.
Yeah, it's better than pizza. Better than Domino's pizza.
Is it pasta? Is it fusilli? The ones that are spirals?
No. It is like a Doughball, to be fair.
No. I'm not. I'm just saying. Do you know that pasta?
I know the pasta.
That's almost what I imagine, but obviously a bigger version made of dough, that sort of shape. Is that sort of what it looks like in terms of shape?
What,
like a spiral?
A coil? No.
Yeah.
No. It's in a ball.
It's in a ball?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's just because you said it's called twisty.
Twisted? No, that's in the sense of it almost being imagine taking a ball and then you almost twist it like that from the top. So it's almost twisted brown. You got the pepperoni and everything twisted inside. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah. I think I'm with you. Sounds delicious anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, they brought them back recently.
Good.
I decided I'm going to get some.
Yeah, of course, man.
So
got to make the most of this opportunity.
Yeah. So me and my girlfriend Cara turn up to Domino's.
Yeah.
I order them. It's all going well, and then after they cook them and everything, I can see they're done. Right. So I basically went to the thing and was like, "Oh, are they done?" And then the woman keeps going, "Shove it away."
What? Shove it away?
And I'm like, "What? Excuse? What did you say? Sorry."
Shove it away.
No. I'm like, huh? Well, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say that again? And then for the third time, now picture this, the third time, it's silent in the room. So many workers and everything. No. I'm like, oh man. I start shaking my head a little bit because I'm like, I can't believe I'm in this situation, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm looking around. I like turn to my girlfriend. I'm like,
what do I do?
I think the woman knows as well. She knows that I'm about to say like, sorry, I still can't hear you.
I have no idea what you mean.
That was literally how I would say it. I couldn't even pick apart a single word. And then my girlfriend's like, what would you like on the dough, or what did you have on the dough ball? Something like that. And I was like, oh, right. And I'm looking around, and everyone's kind of staring at me for my answer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just reply, I go, ham and pineapple. And then like everyone starts like shaking their. I'm like, ham and pepperoni. And then one of the women just goes, I didn't know we did pineapple dough balls. And everyone's like laughing. And I'm like, oh man, who knew food could be this complicated?
Who knew that food could be
who
so
knew
hard?
dough balls could be this much of an event?
So did you get them in the end?
Oh yeah.
And they were the ones you wanted?
Them. Yeah.
So you were happy in the end?
Yeah.
But you just had a bit of a
ending.
trial and tribulation.
Yeah.
A happy ending. That's what we want. We want a happy ending.
Yeah.
Always want a happy ending in life.
Very happy ending. Very, very good dough balls.
Yeah, man. What's better than a happy ending with a dough ball? You know?
We're there already.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it doesn't take long. I had a nice meal the other day. Mine, not so noticeable, to be honest. Not really a funny story. Just had a really nice green olive.
All right.
Yeah, it's a really good restaurant in town in Bridgewater called the Green Olive. It's like all like metzes, like Turkish and Greek food.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good, man. And, like some white bait. Had a mixed grill.
Oh, I do like a bit
flatbreads. Oh, chachik, which is like, you know, that nice sort of like, it's delicious dip, and it's like Greek yogurt mixed with like garlic and
yeah.
cucumber, and it's like it's just super like light and refreshing.
Cooling.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Also there Esme sauce, and it's like a nice peppery tomatoey one.
Right.
Oh my god, just dip some bread into that.
Man.
Absolutely amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. One thing I meant to talk to you about, which I haven't asked you about, there's a Kenobi series coming out, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there is.
There's like a Star Wars standalone show just called Kenobi. Obviously, so it's going to be like The Mandalorian, but all about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's like set after Revenge of the Sith. So sort of like what he's doing in between the prequels and the originals.
I'm so excited, man.
Me too.
So excited.
Me too. So good.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's so like, turned out so well, obviously, because it's like Ewan McGregor's like the perfect age now to actually do it.
Yeah.
Because he almost like is
exactly,
like, do you know what I mean? Because it's been like however long since the prequels, like what, like 20 years, something like that? Maybe like even longer.
I'm excited to see Hayden Christensen return.
Somebody has to be.
My man. My man.
You're just saying that because you secretly are him.
My homie.
Yeah.
Mr. Hayden Christensen. He does a good job at that.
Hayden Christian by day, Bruce Wayne by night.
When the suit goes on.
Yeah. Bullwinkle.
I am Bruce Wayne. I am Bullwinkle Wayne.
Bullwinkle Wayne. The only Batman more powerful than Bruce Wayne. Bullwinkle Wayne.
What could I be? What animal could I be? The Bullwinkle Man.
Bullwinkle Man. Just like, hold up Bullwinkle a minute. Just like a suit that's like that, but larger.
Yeah.
I reckon
with the horns and everything.
It would almost like would be so strange, it would be terrifying, I reckon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be Shakespeare that around.
No, it'd be like, you'd feel like you were on like some sort of like mental trip, wouldn't you, to be fair?
Robbers beware. When you see the Bullwinkle sign in the sky, it's over.
Killers beware. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about, for our first educational part of the show today, if you can call it, if it ever is educational with us, that is. I wanted to talk about the Canis Pugnax. Ever heard about that?
Only because I typed it out once.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in what's the word?
I don't know. You tell me.
Let me know.
I'll let you know.
Let me know.
Anyway, so everyone obviously knows about the Roman Empire.
Educate was the word I was looking for. Educate me.
What's the word?
Let me know.
Everybody knows about the Roman Empire. Everybody knows about the legacy that the Romans have left behind. The world would not be as it is today, certainly in the West at least, if it wasn't for the Roman Empire and all the things that they brought to our realm. But I don't think many people know about the Canis Pugnax. Now, obviously, the Roman army was extremely technological for its day. They had, unlike, a lot of parts of Europe at the time, had very sort of simple tactics, essentially big, hairy barbarians just like trying to hack at stuff until hopefully they won. Whereas obviously the Romans weren't like that at all. They had very organized military tactics, great generals, would think in depth about things like their flanks, taking armies by surprise, analysing different enemies and figuring out what was the best way to defeat them. Had artillery, all sorts of things like that. But one of the things that they did also very successfully was breed war dogs. And their war dog was called Canis Pugnax.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And they literally specially bred and trained from birth these dogs to be like the ultimate killing machines. But they also obviously trained them extremely well, so they were extremely disciplined and loyal dogs. So they would never obviously attack their owners or any other Roman army, but to like their enemies, they were lethal. And they trained these dogs so well that they were as disciplined as like an actual Roman soldier themselves. So they had like specific roles. They would know exactly what to do. They often used to use them as a way to like break infantry lines. So say you had, say the Romans went into like, at the time it was like Germania. So like modern day like Germany, places like that. And they would be like in the middle of like a forest, say, and there'd be like a big line of like Germanic warriors there. They would send in the Canis Pugnax, and it would essentially just like break the ranks of the troops. So they'd send them in. Just imagine all of these like terrifying dogs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what sort of dog they were, like technically.
Dobermans?
No. They were giant mastiffs. That's it. They were giant mastiffs. So imagine these giant mastiffs, and they often like decorated them as well, so that they would have like armor on and stuff like that to make them even more like formidable and harder to kill. And then all these like foaming at the mouth like dogs that are literally like bred and trained for war. Yeah. They've literally probably like had like probably literally been like trained to attack like Germanic like slaves and stuff that would have been in Rome. That would have been like, you know what I mean? So they were like properly just would see these people and just like see red. And then they would break the infantry lines and cause like the armies to be like disorientated, and then they'd be like, oh no, and there would be these like crazy dogs would be like running in and out of each other's, like just attacking left and right, and then they'd start like freaking out and be concentrating on the dogs. Yeah. And then the Roman army would be like, and then like finish, like seal the deal.
Almost like the real version of hellhounds.
Yeah,
that
man.
We spoke about.
Yeah. It's quite cool as well. Obviously, one of the things that the Romans were great at was like adapting. They were always adapting and like altering their methods if they could see like different ways to do things. And what was quite interesting is when the Romans invaded Britannia, obviously Britain as it is today, they actually, for one of the first times ever, were on the receiving end of war dogs. So the ancient Britons that the Romans encountered in England, they had English mastiffs.
Right.
Giant English mastiffs, right. and the ancient Britons used to use them very effectively in war as well. And apparently the Romans were so impressed with the English mastiffs and how well they did it, like essentially killing Roman soldiers and putting up a good fight, that they ended up breeding their Canis Pugnax with the English mastiff to create a new, even more like crazy sort of type of dog. So that's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like quite epic to imagine those armies facing off, and almost not just like the armies themselves of the men, but also like all these English mastiffs and
dueling.
Yeah, even
do
though
you know what the ones that were bred with both of them were called?
No, I'm not entirely sure. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. I know that it was Julius Caesar that basically came up with the breeding program.
Right.
Because it was Julius Caesar that invaded Britannia, and then he like confronted all of like the Celtic warriors and stuff like that, and I think physically the differences would have been is, even though it was I'm not sure technically what say like a Rottweiler, like I'm not sure. I mean, is it just a Rottweiler? I don't know enough about dogs, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But from the pictures I've seen of Canis Pugnax, it almost looked like a giant Rottweiler.
Right.
Whereas the English Mastiff looked almost like an Irish Wolfhound.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I can think of, because I've seen pictures of both of them. So I imagine almost like a cross between that would have looked pretty fierce.
Yeah.
Like pretty intimidating. Both giant dogs though. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool. So Canis Pugnax, shout out to those crazy war dogs.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I've never had my face ripped off by any of them, unlike a lot of enemies of the Roman Empire probably have done over the years.
Not been chased.
Yeah, definitely.
I used to be scared of dogs, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, that would terrify me. Having like one of them big ones. Awful.
Well, yeah, imagine, because as I said, obviously they were bred to be like massive and imposing as well. Yeah. To like be able to like rip, like, because think they would have to be terrifying and large enough to intimidate a savage barbarian. And like the barbarian tribes in Europe at the time were obviously savages.
Oh, 100%.
And they were like physically a lot more imposing than Romans.
Yeah.
I think, as is quite commonly known, like most Roman soldiers weren't really like, they weren't themselves like particularly tall or imposing. They were incredibly well trained, and I'm sure they were in great shape. You know, very, very lean, very strong. But they were a lot smaller than a lot of Northern and Western Europeans. You know, a lot of the people said the Germanic tribes, the Scandinavian tribes, the British tribes, you know, it wasn't uncommon for warriors from those places to be like 6 foot or over. Whereas I think on average, most Romans were sort of like, you know, around like 5'5", 5'6" at the time. So think, those dogs, they had to be intimidating enough to be, if you were like this battle-hardened Germanic warrior that's wearing like a bear hide, you know, it's probably like hunted and killed a bear, and you're just there with this massive axe in the forest, like just some crazy nutter. You know, the dogs would have to be bred enough to like instill fear in them. So, but yeah, no, I've had like a couple of close encounters with dogs a couple times actually.
Really?
Yeah. One thing is when I was little, I used to like go out on bike rides with my old man quite a lot.
Okay.
And we used to cycle around like the local villages. And for anybody that's ever been on a bike and it's like cycled around country lanes, you'll probably know what I mean. But often if you like cycle past a farm and stuff, you know, sometimes dogs, you know, like they can get out, and dogs do not like bikes. I don't know if they really like bikes or they really don't like bikes, but either way, they chase you if you're on a bike.
Yeah.
And there were times where like when I was like 7 or 8, man, I'm not talking, I was like proper young. I remember like cycling past like farms and stuff in this local village called Chiltern Village, and like Alsatian running out and was chasing me for about a mile, dude. And I remember my old man was just like, just cycle as fast as you can, just cycle as fast as you can. I was literally like, as fast as my little legs could like possibly like cycle.
Yeah.
And I was like looking over my shoulder, and the dog was like as far away from me as like I am to you now. And it was almost like I could like hear it panting, and it was like keeping up with me like almost like perfectly. And that was with me at like full sprint, like on the bike. And then I think eventually after about a mile, it finally started to tire, and I'm like, you know, just that adrenaline just kept me going. So but like I was like almost like waiting to feel the claws like in my back, like if it got close enough, and then it just made the leap, and then I'd been like, and then it probably just like dragged me off. But I was like, luckily it didn't come to that. Also, another time that made me super angry, actually, like it actually made me like super angry. And as soon as my daughter was safe, was I went out for a walk like in my local village with my daughter, and there was like this big field in my local village, and then there's like a sty behind. So I like went over the sty. And there were like some horses in the field. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll just like take Evie over to go like see the horses, you know, nice little thing to do, innit? But they weren't like behind a fence, the horses. They were just behind like almost like it was like a piece of string. Like so almost like these little makeshift posts had been put with like a bit of string. So I just went over. And then it wasn't like a farm, but it was like, I guess somebody just like owned like a big like yard or something. And there was like some like rusted out old like tractors and diggers there, and like some old vehicles and stuff.
Okay.
And then these two like massive dogs just started running over, and they were just being super aggressive. And it was almost like they were like
marking their territory.
Yeah, but it was like they, you know, it was almost like they were like, no doubt about it, they were like thinking every second about like whether to attack me or not. Yeah. And I just had Evie in my hands. So I put her like in my left side, and I put my hand out. And like they were like, you know, these were like two big dogs, man, and they were being so aggressive at me, just like barking. And I said, yeah, again, like, you know, at some stages they were like closer to me than you are to me now, like within like a foot of my hand, you know? Like proper barking, and you know, like like false charging me and stuff like that. So I just was just being super aggressive with them, just like had to be like as aggressive as I could, because with a dog you can't like back down. You can't show weakness, because then it's almost like then they'll have you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was just like, Shawn, I was like, get back, and I was like proper shouting at them like at the top of my lungs, like you know, like being like that at
jolting, like
jolting towards them and stuff, like just trying to intimidate them, and it was sort of like make them go back like a couple of feet, and then they'd like be there right there again. And I sort of did that, but then at the same time was like slowly backing up towards the sty. And once I was close enough, I literally just like threw Evie over the fence and then like jumped over the sty myself. Yeah. But when I got Evie home afterwards, I just felt suddenly full of rage. Because at the time I was like, because a dog like that, like a dog that's been like poorly trained or whatever, poorly brought up, like it would rip my daughter to shreds. Oh yeah. Like Evie was like probably about 18 months old at the time. Right. And obviously, in the moment, I was like purely thinking about like her.
Yeah.
And like, I can't let a dog bite her. I can't let this dog bite her or anything. But it was quite hard, as you can imagine. Like, I had her in one arm.
Yeah.
I couldn't put her down. So it was like, no, if it was me on my own, I probably wouldn't have really cared that much. Because I could have been freely a lot more aggressive. And I wouldn't have been, although obviously I wouldn't want it to happen, I wouldn't have been as worried about it if it just bit me. You know, I'm big and ugly enough to handle that. Do you know what I mean? I can handle. You know, I've had worse happen to me in my life than a dog bite me.
Yeah.
My uncle Dom's is a copper, and he has like dogs bite him like almost on a yearly basis.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like it's something you don't really think, but it's like part and parcel about being a copper. Sometimes, say you get like a complaint about somebody, or you find out somebody's like is being abusive towards their partner, or somebody's like beating up their neighbour. Let's face it, there are some violent people around, unfortunately, some very antisocial people, and like say, you know, he'll go around there and like go and, you know, kick down the door or whatever, and sometimes he'll just get attacked by a dog. Yeah. And like straight away the dog's just like jumps up, staffy, just like vice lock on your forearm.
That's brutal.
Yeah. So he told me it happened to him almost like yearly. But yeah, when I got home, I remember I was super angry as soon as I got Evie home safe, and I'm not proud to say this, but I remember I was like almost like thinking about going back. Right. I know it's like, I mean, I don't even really know what was going through my head. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like almost like silly, like fighting the dogs. Yeah. But I think because I felt like because at the end of the day, we're animals as well.
Protective, yeah.
Yeah, and because that was the first time since I'd been a father that I felt there was like a real physical threat to my daughter. Yeah. And as soon as she was almost like safe, it's almost like I'd accomplished my first job, which was to keep her safe. And then I got super angry. Yeah. And I felt really angry, and I was like this close to going back. Yeah. So I don't even really know why. Do you know what I mean? I mean, what would I have done? Like jumped over the sty and then just like attack the dogs? Like some like rabid animal myself.
Imagine the owners just looking in the background.
I'm just like
taking on two huge dogs.
Yeah. Just like full on battle. There's like epic battle music. Picked like bit like put on like Jewel of the Fates first from Star Wars on my Spotify on my phone.
On the car ride there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're not more like scared of dogs after that incident when you're like 7. Because that would be scary, man.
I think I understand that, like, you know, with the animal kingdom, a lot of the time it's like if you show weakness, then you will be a victim. Yeah. You know, it's like people with victim mentality. You see some people, and you know, and some people they can't break out of it. It's almost like if you have a victim-like mentality, sometimes it can be quite consuming. And it's almost like by default you revert to being a victim in every situation. And I know some people personally that I think are like that. And some of them I've said to them about it. And it's, you know, and I think it's you need to try and help people that you care about if they are like that, break out of that mold. Because whether it's in a situation with other human beings or in a situation, say, with like an aggressive dog, if you are overly passive and you are almost like ready and willing to be the victim, then you will be the victim. And that is not good for you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I think, you know, when I said, I know for, you know, if an aggressive dog ran up to me and tried to attack me, as I said, if I ran away, you know,
it would see that as like a sign of weakness.
And let's face it, most dogs are going to outrun me.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Unless it's like a Chihuahua. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, in which case I haven't got anything to worry about anyway. Yeah. But like, if it's like a big fit dog, like an Alsatian or a Doberman or something like that, like, I'm not going to get away through sheer speed, and I'm not going to get away through cardio. So it's like I just have to sheerly out aggressive. You know, make the dog doubt, have enough self-doubt that it's going to leave me alone. And it's like up to you to make sure that happens. So I think I understand that. So yeah, I'm not really bothered. I'm not bothered. Most land animals I'm not really bothered by. As I've said before, I think on the show, the only thing I'm sort of scared, like, and I'm quite happily admit this, is the ocean freaks me out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ocean freaks me out.
It's just, I think that's natural though, because it's just not your like domain, is it?
Yeah, and like
it's not humans' domain.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm like a super confident swimmer and everything. Like one of my first jobs, like when I left school, was like a lifeguard. So I became like qualified as a lifeguard, and I worked as a lifeguard and stuff. Never at the sea, always like at like swimming pools and stuff. But even so, it's like swimming itself, I'm very confident. So I don't have a fear of drowning, because it's like two different things, isn't it? I don't have a fear of drowning at all. I'm a very confident swimmer. And I actually love swimming in the sea, which is probably a little bit of like a contradiction. But, you know, I love swimming in the sea. Like, it's a very calming thing to do, but I wouldn't ever go out too deep. Right. Psychologically, I think I would find it harder to swim further out than, say, like 30 feet.
What about like let's say you go on like a boat trip? And
I
then
wouldn't
you're,
be
like,
that.
jumping out
I
in the
wouldn't be that
ocean.
keen on it. No.
Really?
No. I'll quite happily admit that. Yeah. I know it sounds. Yeah. I know it probably sounds like silly,
Mm.
but as I said, like on land, like two big vicious dogs like the size of me, I would rather be in that situation. I would fear that situation less than just swimming in the middle of the ocean.
What? Even if there was nothing in the ocean?
Yeah, but how would you even know?
Yeah, I know, but like.
Yeah, probably, mate. Yeah,
That's
probably.
mental.
Yeah, probably.
To be fair, the
Yeah.
idea that there is something beneath you
Mate.
that could like
Sends me
drag you
chills.
down,
Sends me
and
chills.
you'd have no hope.
Yeah.
That is horrifying.
And I think as well, because I always have been so interested in my almost like I think the fear has arisen because of like a combination of some of my interests. So like some of the things I'm really interested in. I'm really into wildlife, and I'm also really into sort of like mysteries and things like that. But as a result, in my head I have got like almost like quite a big catalogue of not only like savage attacks in the ocean, but also like mysteries of like people disappearing in the ocean and things like that, just because of my own personal interests. A lot of things like we've spoken about similar things like that on Pandora's Box in the past. So it's almost like, even though the chances of something like that happening is like the same chances as like winning a lottery ticket, the fact that most people still win a lottery ticket every week. There's like, if it's got to be someone, who's to say it's not going to be you?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
Like, so it's like that same thing. I'm always like, you know. I mean, to be fair, you could say that about anything. I mean, I'm not scared of getting on planes, and I mean, there's always that one in like 500
Crazy
million chance that like your plane might crash, and I'm not afraid to do that. So let's face it, most fears on some level are irrational. They start off from a rational place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like the fear itself of like saying like, you know, would you want to swim in water where there's like a great white shark swimming around? That's rational. But it can become irrational. So say if you were scared obviously of flying to the point where you would never get on a plane, or you were scared of sharks to the point where you would never get in the ocean, that's almost like becomes a bit irrational, isn't it? You know?
I mean, it is horrible.
Yeah.
Like I quite like it, but only because I almost think in my head it's like, well, they must have, you know, brought so many people out here before. But if I was just dumped in the middle of the ocean,
oh mate,
that's
almost like one of my worst fears.
Yeah, that's like one of the worst things that could happen to you.
I remember one of like almost like the only nightmares I remember from being like a child. I probably wasn't like a child. I was probably like a teenager. But I remember I woke up like freaking sweating one day,
right?
And I had a dream that I woke up, and in my dream it was like I woke up like in the morning, and I was on my mattress, and I woke up and just saw the sky, and I was like, what? And then I looked, and then I sat up, and my mattress was just floating in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
and like all around, I couldn't see land all around me, and I just started freaking out, and I was like, almost like started like having a panic attack in my dream. And then I finally woke up, and I was like. And then I was like, oh, thank God I'm just in my bed.
Yeah.
But I was like freaking out, man. I was like full on freaking out. Like,
I remember having like one dream. It's funny because that's like one dream that I remember having
really?
From like a kid. But it wasn't necessarily the same that I was on my mattress, but it was just like being out in the water, and everything was fine at first, like swimming around or whatever, and just seeing this like huge shadow just cast under the water, and you're like, what's that? And then you start to see these like mouth come up towards you. Awful.
Yeah, I think as well, it's like I think most of the terrifying creatures that live on the planet do live in the sea. I think that's one thing. In my opinion, anyway. It's because the thing, that's it. It's like things like that. It's in the eye of the beholder. There are some people out there that might have like an insane fear for some reason of like a lion or like a bear. And don't get me wrong, that's warranted because those things are also killing machines. But to me, things in the ocean, I don't know if it's because they are so alien. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the idea that for some reason you'd be in the ocean and like a giant squid might suddenly wrap a tentacle around you and pull you down. Yeah. And then because they've essentially got these giant beaks where you just be like pulled in and like essentially like almost like you could imagine like a machine or something, you know, almost like imagine getting
like
caught.
A wood chipper.
Yeah. And just like imagine that from the feet down at first, just being like, ah, and then just like until you were just literally in pieces, and it's just like these giant, like almost like alien eyes, and it's like, would just be so much bigger than you. Or just thought that it could be like you know, one of those freakish like great whites that grow to like 20 plus feet, or you know, even it wouldn't even have to be something like that. What if you just got stung by some horrible little jellyfish, and then you were just like dying of agony in the middle of the ocean, and then as you were dying,
true, actually,
and then as you started like dying and like thrashing because you were like panicking, like most predators in the ocean, they associate splashing with some animal dying. So then predators usually go towards the sensation, because all predators in the ocean, they can sense distress.
Yeah.
Like water moving around and splashing. So then they'll hone in. So then it's like you could be doing that, and then that could bring in like a shark or another type of predator. Giant barracuda comes and just bites off your foot or something, you know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever watched River Monsters?
Of course,
Jeremy Wade. What
Mate,
a show!
That is so good.
So good.
I love River Monsters.
But that is like that show is a reason to have this.
100%. Because let's face it, like at least 50% of the fish that he catches in River Monsters, like most people don't even know about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember there was one. It was like the Goliath tigerfish,
and
it was like fish like the size of me that lives in like the frickin' I think it was Africa.
Right.
I want to say it was Africa. It might be South America, but I'm pretty sure
it
was somewhere in Africa. It was like a fish the size of me with like giant teeth. Like the teeth were like the size of like a lion's teeth. Do you know what I mean? But almost like, if anything, looked more freakish, like more terrifying. Like all of them the same size, and all of them are and it just had these big, like completely round, like eyes. And I was just like, what the hell, man? I'm just thinking like, I'm just gonna go for a little swim in here. I'm on holiday. Yeah.
Oh, have you ever seen that episode where it's like if you go for like a pee in the ocean?
Oh. That weird little microscopic thing can like literally swim up. So like if you're a bloke, or I suppose if you're a woman, and you're like,
I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it's easier if you're a bloke. You're more likely to do it if you're a bloke, because the guy that got this horrible thing that we'll tell you about, he literally was like stood at the edge of like a river, and he like went for a wee into the water essentially, and this horrible little creature swam up his urine, into his urethra, into his penis.
And like it like ate him from the inside, didn't it?
And he started like having these like really bad pains in his penis.
Yeah.
And then when he got back to it, I can't remember. I think it was Britain. I'm pretty sure it was Britain. It was either that or it was somewhere in like Europe or America. I want to say it was Britain. He got back home and he started experiencing all these like real bad pains in essentially like the center of his shaft. And he was like having these really bad stinging sensations when he went for a wee and stuff like that, and wasn't really sure. And obviously all the common stuff that you would think of, like urine infection and stuff, like you had the treatments for that, wasn't doing anything, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And he found out this like creature had embedded in itself in his penis and was like growing, and he had to have surgery essentially, and the doctors had to like split his penis in half and like remove this horrible like little like demonic creature from like some river in Africa or whatever it was. Was it? I can't remember if it was Africa. It might have been like India
it was somewhere like that. It was somewhere like that. Seas somewhere.
Yeah, like South Africa or India or Africa, somewhere like that. Somewhere that's like, you know, it certainly wouldn't happen in England. But crazy man. Stuff like that makes you think like
episode like sparked a genuine fear in me.
How do you not like listen to that and almost just be like, oh
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You almost like want to like
cringing.
You almost like want to like hold your crown jewels, don't you? And just be like, oh, you almost like feel the pain.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're like, oh my god, I'm so glad that something like that's never happened to me.
Yeah, no, that's awful. Awful. I
always think of things like that, like parasites and like little creepy crawlies are almost like the worst. Talking about like fears actually, because that's actually just that you made me think. Other than things like you know, like being stranded in the ocean, like I'd be much more like freaked out if I had to say like spend the night in the jungle of like Brazil or like somewhere like that. That would freak me out way more than say being like face to face with like a bear. And don't get me wrong, some people might be like, you idiot, because a bear would destroy you. I'm not saying obviously I think I could like
take on the bear.
Yeah, I know, like I'm not that boneheaded that I think. Do you know what I mean? But I think at least with a bear, it's like you know where it is, you can follow it, and there are certain things you know you can do to detract it. You know, if for a start, if you're sensible as it is, if you're in like bear territory, you probably have a gun on you. So hopefully you won't have to use it. But even if you just pump off rounds into the air, hopefully the noise will be like scary enough to put it off. There's also things like bear spray you can use. You know, common sense things you can do, like don't frickin' have a barbecue in the middle of the woods. But the thing I don't like about creepy crawlies is the fact that I could like make a hammock in Brazil.
Yeah.
Have to like stay over in the jungle all night, and you'd hear like all these horrible things like chirping and
stuff. Yeah.
And then for all you know, like some little bug might crawl in your ear while you're asleep, and then you'll get home, not even know anything's up, start getting like earache a couple months later, and then, like we said with the guy with his shaft injury, his shaft parasite.
Yeah, it's
the next
in your
thing,
brain.
Yeah, yeah. You start having those horrible headaches and stuff and earaches.
Oh.
And then finally you get an examination, and something that was like this big, that it was like, a millimetre long, that crawled into your ear in Brazil, is now like an inch long, and it's just living in your
just
ear.
A worm. And
it's just like eating your flesh. Oh, stuff like that. Stuff like that bugs me way more than like bears.
Yeah.
It's almost like this horrible little Bullwinkle's just taking a tumble. This horrible like alien or something. It's just like eating you from the inside out.
No. Do you know what I mean? Horrible. With bears, isn't it really hard to tell what to do? Because some of them you've got to like square up almost and be like really loud and make yourself big. And then there's like some ones that you just have to run.
I don't think you're advised to run from any of them.
I feel like it's something like that, or you've just got to be completely still or something.
No, you're not advised to run from any of them. Black bears can climb trees. Both brown bears and black bears can run faster than us, so you're not supposed to run. Black bears.
That might be it. One might have been climb up a tree, but then black bears can like chase you up the tree. So you just
black bears,
be
because black bears can climb up trees. Brown bears are so big they can't climb trees, but they're bigger and they're stronger and they can kill you even more easily than a black bear.
Probably less likely to be intimidated.
Yeah, you're supposed to stand your ground and try and be like, you're supposed to like, and be very obvious apparently. Like you're supposed to go like, go away bear, go away. And you're supposed to be like, clap your hands and make yourself look as big as possible. So they say things like, put your hands over the top of your head. If you have like a coat on, like spread your jacket and like show why. So like if the bigger you look,
maybe like a stick.
It's a bit like what we were saying about dogs earlier. It's like you almost need to be like, this isn't worth your time. You might walk away from this because it's like, let's face it, animals as well. They know, well, they don't know that they can't go to the hospital, but with us, if we get an injury, there's always that almost that satisfaction, like, oh, I can go to the hospital. If I get like, if like a dog bites me, I can go to a hospital and get it cleaned and the wound sent to. If a bear kills you, but in the process you like stab it through the arm with like a stick that you quickly gave a pointy end, and that gets infected, that bear can no longer hunt, and that bear's going to get sick, and that bear's probably going to, if it doesn't die of infection, which it probably wouldn't because it's hard, they're super powerful creatures and very resilient. But if you impede its ability to hunt, it's probably going to die of starvation.
Not worth it.
Yeah. And then other things like another bear or a big pack of wolves might see it as an injured, and then they might kill it and eat it. So you need to make it concerned enough about that to leave you alone. On that note, anyway, we're going to listen to another track now. This is Ring of Gold by Bathory. Check it out. We're going to be back after this, baby. That was Nosferatu by Blue Oyster Cult. Not a commonly played track by Blue Oyster Cult. Obviously, they're most known for Seasons Don't Fear the Reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain can be like they are. Come on, baby, don't fear the Reaper. Baby, take my hand. Don't fear the Reaper. We'll be able to fly.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say don't fear the Reaper.
Don't fear the Reaper.
Baby, I'm your man. Yeah, love that song, but and also Godzilla, the name for that song as well. Godzilla, do you know that one?
Probably if I heard it.
Not doing the best representation of the song, really. Godzilla. Dun, 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 dun,
Godzilla.
Dun, 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 dun. I think it might have been used actually, like in the credits of one of the Godzilla movies.
It should have done.
If it hasn't, then it definitely should have done. I feel like it has. If not, maybe I just thought it did. It should have done.
Otherwise, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever have you ever been thought that you've been watching a movie or been playing a game or something and you've thought this song would be perfect for this movie or this game, and then you're almost annoyed that it's not in it?
Oh, definitely. I think that even more so of scenes and end scenes that they should have had.
Yeah, this is why me and you both obviously really we're quite into like directing, aren't we?
Yeah.
I would genuinely love obviously we for those of you that don't know, we made like a little music video at Christmas, which was essentially it was a cover of Jingle Bells, but in the middle of the track I incorporated a little story about this lad called Jimmy O'Malley, and young Bullwinkle over here, aka Scirocco, as you are today, is Jimmy O'Malley. I'm not going to say he played Jimmy O'Malley. He is Jimmy O'Malley.
I am Jimmy O'Malley.
And it was the story of this little lad who was an orphan. Anyway, it's on our Pandora's Box YouTube. So if you haven't seen it, go check out Pandora's Box podcast on YouTube. Please give us a subscribe. And you can see the video on there. As I said, it's a cover of Jingle Bells, but in the middle is the tale of Jimmy O'Malley.
Little interlude.
And there may or may not, cannot confirm, be some follow-up tracks in the future carrying on the tale of Jimmy O'Malley. I know. Exclusive.
Exciting
Exclusive. Stuff. But there may be some stuff in the pipeline. But yeah, we basically love really like directing.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
We got really into it at the time.
I think for both of us, like making a film would be like a bucket list.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I remember I was like when I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm a real big fan of this artist called Townes Van Zandt.
Okay.
And he's sort of like this folky country artist from like the 60s and the 70s, and he passed away I think in 97, but was obviously in all of those, was constantly writing and recording music right up until his demise. But I always thought he would have been like the perfect artist. Like some of his songs would have been like perfect for Red Dead Redemption 2, and I was almost like really annoyed. As soon as I got it in my head, I was like, when you almost like have some like weird false hope.
Yeah.
I got it's like the chances of it would have been so small, but it's almost like I was playing it. I was like, I really hope at some point they play a Townes Van Zandt song. Yeah. So I got it in my head, and obviously it didn't, and I was like, oh, for God's sake. I always thought if I was working on that game, I would be like, no, at this bit you need to play this Townes Van Zandt song. They should have hired me. They should have hired me for it. I would have made the game even better.
Yeah, scenes annoy me, man.
Yeah,
like just little things that I know should have happened, and they would have improved like a movie or a film.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
They just don't do it. That's really frustrating.
You never know, man. You never know. We could be the next Steven Spielberg.
Maybe we'll be it's the Russo brothers, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
We'll be the Russo brothers.
What have they done? They're super famous.
They're Marvel guys.
Ah, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know what else they've done, but I know they've done Marvel stuff.
Because there's another guy that's done some of the Marvel stuff. There's the Russo brothers, and then there's is it Joss Whedon? I think he's done one or two.
He's done a couple. I know He's done the DC. He did a bit of DC. He might have done Justice
Suicide
League. Squad.
I think he might have done Justice League as well.
Or Justice League.
But then I think they did the Snyder Cut, which was sort of like way better.
Yeah.
For some reason, they had like two directors, and the original one was like Joss Whedon, I think, and then it was sort of has been a bit rubbish, and now they've released the Snyder Cut.
No, so I think the original one was Zack Snyder,
right?
And then Joss Whedon like took over.
That's right.
Zack Snyder still got to release his after.
Yeah, and everyone thinks
and everyone likes
better.
It more.
Yeah. He's in hot water at the moment. Anyway, I know Joss Whedon, isn't he? Do you know
really?
About that?
What's that?
Well, because he was the guy that obviously one of the most like successful and probably like famous shows of all time, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was like the guy that like wrote it, and like directed it and everything in like the 90s and the noughties, and like all of these actors and actresses like going right back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer now have like basically said that he's like insanely misogynistic and like almost like a bit of almost like a bully. Right. And like sometimes like after scenes he would like flip his lid, but properly flip his lid and like just full on like berate people and stuff like that, and but almost like to the point where it was just like unacceptable, really.
Good riddance.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I know he's getting a lot of backlash. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
I know another Marvel director who's like a really good one.
Who's that?
His name Taiki.
The guy that did
What's his name?
Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
He's like some crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like
didn't he do
very eccentric
Jojo Rabbit?
I have no idea.
I think that's what he did. I could be wrong.
He's very eccentric,
very
isn't
good.
He?
Yeah,
he was the guy that did Thor Ragnarok, and like, you know how Thor Ragnarok, like the first two Thor movies were like a lot more serious, and then Thor Ragnarok, it still had it was still at the end of the day a serious movie, but it has a lot more of like comical themes. It's a bit more like tongue in cheek in some places, like that hilarious character. What's his name? The big rock dude. It's like
that's him.
It's like, hey, you right, mate?
That's the director.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, Thor.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're gonna get your face smashed in by our champion. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's so good, isn't it? Like that's
so cool that he like acts in his own like stuff as well.
It literally acts as that character, but also the movie in general is just so good.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, really talented director.
Yeah, man. Should we tell some really embarrassing stories of ours?
Shall we?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
It's just like I feel like we're doing like an AA meeting or something.
Yeah. It's so like official.
Speak first.
yeah. So like official, like we're like laying it all on the line.
I'll speak first if you want.
Yeah, you can do one first.
Yeah.
We haven't really prepared this, by the way, so it's not like we've written down. Well, I haven't anyway. It's not like we've like written down a list. I'm just sort of trying to think off the fly
from the dome.
There's two things I can think right off the top of my head. There's obviously been a lot more than just two experiences in my life. because I have had like a bit of a habit, just in my life in general, of at times making a fool of myself. But I'm not ashamed to say, but I can definitely think of at least a couple off the top of my head.
I know one off the top of my head that this was just like when it happened, so awkward.
Yeah.
I hate the ones that are like just really awkward interactions, like nothing big.
Yeah,
but just afterwards you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
So we went bowling, and I was going with my friends, and I was like speaking when we went up, and they asked us to like write down a name or whatever. And for some reason, in my head, I thought it'd be funny to go, I'm Oliver Mclovin or something like that.
Yeah. As you do.
From the Superbad.
I understand that.
Superbad.
Yeah, I understand that.
And she was like, no, you're not.
Was really serious?
Yeah, and I was like, no, I am Mclovin. And I was like, I like spelt it out, and she was like, no, I've seen the film.
Why was she so serious about it though? Why did she mind? Why did she mind so much? If you wanted to be known as Oliver Mclovin, why was that a big deal?
Yeah, that could have been my name.
Yeah, and also, like, she doesn't need to know your real name. It's not like you were like down the police station and you were like some massive international criminal. You would go and bowling. If you wanted to be known as Oliver Mclovin, what's the big deal? Just
that whole, to be fair, she played me so well, because as soon as she went, no, you're not, I was like, oh, no. You got me.
Yeah,
and I remember, like, whatever, she accepted it in the end. And I
just love the idea that she just real deadpan was like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I know, and I was like, I am.
Yeah.
And I turned around, and two of my friends had just like walked off.
Yeah.
And the other one was just like shaking his head, and I was just like, oh no.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. I've got a pretty embarrassing one, but it's a very funny one. I have to say, I wasn't probably as embarrassed at the time as I probably should have been.
Okay.
When this happened, I imagine some people would have probably been more mortified than me.
Right.
I don't know if it's just because I'm an idiot or if or because I handle things well.
Right.
I sort of just walked home and tried to keep my head high when what I'm about to tell you happened. But as you understand, I mean, you know, we're both tall gentlemen. Obviously, we've got different physiques. I'm a lot heavier and bigger, and
I'm a lot like stronger and muscular.
Yeah, I'm a lot fatter and hairier, and he's a lot more muscly and strong.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously, you know what it's like when you're very tall, especially when you are like your age.
Yeah,
you've got like a lot of filling out to do.
Yeah,
and you know it's up to you. Like we work with a guy upstairs, sound chap called Ben Phillips. Shout out Ben Phillips. And you know, someone like Ben, he's always been lanky because he's not interested in sport. He's not interested in working out. So, I mean, you know, he's just been lanky all his life. But obviously, I've always been like into like weight training and stuff. So, obviously, one of the good things about weight training is that you fill out. One of the bad things about weight training is that if you don't buy clothes that fit your new size, they tend to be quite tight on you. And I remember when I was about, how old was I? I want to say I was probably about 22, I'd say. I was about 22. I got really into doing squats. And it was the first time I'd ever really gotten into doing squats. I started working out hard when I was about 15.
Okay.
Well, I started working out when I was 15 and started taking it seriously when I was 16. But I didn't get into doing like squats, really into squats until I was in my early 20s. Up until that point, it was more like most of the stuff I would do for legs would be like running. I would also sometimes do like some leg press and some things like that. But
yeah.
Most of the stuff I did was like I liked doing like chin-ups and dips and bench press and, you know, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I got really into doing squats. And it was really good because as I said, when you're really tall, you tend to have very long arms and legs. So, you know, it's a lot, you know, you need to fill them out. You know, it's not like, you know, if you've got a guy that's like 5'8", you can get away with, you know, not being as filled out as if you're over 6 foot.
Yeah.
When you're like slim and you're over 6 foot and you're not filled out, you know, you're like a string bean, aren't you?
Yeah.
Looking at you.
Oh.
But but anyway, yeah, so I got really into squats. My legs started growing and everything like that, and I was like making a lot of strength gains in my squats. And I was in the gym one day, and the shorts I was wearing had been like one of my favourite pair of gym shorts since I had been like 16.
I see what this
They'd been like an old loyal pair of shorts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, imagine if you started working out with me now, and I started like all of my, like, 15, well, no longer than that, like 17 years of gym expertise, and I put you on like a really good program. I was like, right, Bullwinkle, we need to eat like this. And you're going to like do squats with me like twice a week, blah blah blah. And you started, and your legs suddenly grew like by like 3 inches.
Right. Yeah.
Then obviously some of your clothes that you'd wear at the moment down below would be like a lot tighter.
Yeah.
And as I said, those shorts I'd had when I was about like 16, and I wore them, and but you're not really like thinking that consciously. So I mean, you're not like you're just like, oh, those are my shorts. You're not like,
yeah, exactly.
You're not like
putting on your clothes.
You're not like, oh, I don't know if they're like too tight for me now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was wearing these shorts, and I was doing squats in the gym. And the gym I was at, there was like a power rack right at the end of the gym, and I would face the wall and squat. So essentially, my back was to like the whole of the gym, right?
Right.
And these shorts had gotten quite tight, obviously because of all the squats I've been doing. Put on some weight, and I was like literally squatting away, and then there was literally like I kid you not, it sounded like a bang. Right.
Uh-oh.
Because and all of a sudden my shorts like completely split down the ass.
Yeah.
And they were like I don't think they were actually swimming shorts, but they were like swimming shorts in terms of the fact they had like a mesh.
Okay.
So I wasn't wearing any underwear.
Oh,
because it had a mesh.
Yeah.
So then my shorts like completely split while I was like in a full squat position with like a bar with like loads of heavy weight on, and literally like where obviously I guess it's like a hard floor. There's like obviously no carpet in a gym. Hard floor, hard walls, hard ceiling. Like it almost like reverberated through the room, and it seemed so loud. Oh. And I literally remember it almost like sounded like a bang, where it was like almost all the stitches just simultaneously all just went. It literally almost sounded like a bang went off, and then I just knew what had happened, but I didn't know how severe it was, and I just had to like carry on like squatting upwards, and I just wrapped the bar, and I just turned around, and then loads of people were almost like giggling and almost like smiling, and like there was a couple of people that had their headphones in that hadn't noticed, but like at least half the gym had like noticed and were like or like talking to whoever their mate was there and being like, did you see that guy? And then I just almost like turned around and almost just like was like just like a really awkward laugh on my own, and then almost like I think I like didn't leave straight away because I almost like tried to play it cool. Okay. I'd almost thought if I leave straight away, then it's almost like you're showing that you're embarrassed, and that's almost like that people are more likely to laugh at you. And I've never been like afraid to laugh at myself. So I thought, I'll just sort of like laugh a little bit. I'll stay in there a little bit longer, but I'm not going to I definitely cut the workout like very short. I think I stayed in there for like about another 5 minutes, and I sort of like casually walked out, almost like tensing my cheeks, because I thought if I like tense my cheeks, then it's not, it's not like the shorts aren't going to like spread out so much. And then I just remember, I just like walked down the steps and I just left. And I remember I walked to the gym that day as well. I lived in town at the time. And then I had to like walk all the way home with and it was like completely split from like, and I just like got home, and then my ass had just been like fully out, just like savage, man. So literally like I squatted in the gym and like split my shorts mid squats, and my ass was just out in the gym. Oh no! My big pale ass. Literally, like you hear it, you almost like that's like one of those things you almost hear is like it's like almost like people, one of those like stories, it's like almost like people's worst nightmare in the gym, and it actually happened to me. That is nightmare, like legitimately happened to me. So that was quite embarrassing. That was quite embarrassing. It's like always like I'll definitely never forget that.
Do you know what I think though? What? With that, it's not your fault in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
It's the game's fault.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could have gotten new shorts. Yeah. But you could understand someone for like not. Do you know what I mean? It's not your fault that the shorts broke at the end of the day.
I didn't think that they would. Yeah.
Exactly.
I had the shorts for like a long time. They'd always held up well. Yeah, I guess.
I always find the most like awkward scenarios is when it like is your fault. Or like when you've said something or done something that you could have just not done. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that brings back like another memory that I had in school. And you know how in school you just go through like loads of zones where you're trying new stuff.
Oh, phases.
Phases.
Yeah,
phases. That's
the word.
Phases.
Yeah.
So for some reason I went through like a phase of like winking.
What?
Man, I don't know.
What do you mean though? Like what? Winking at people?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
What? So you would just look at people and wink at them? Would you?
In a weird.
What the hell is this? So you would just look at random people in the school and just be like, and just wink at them?
It would be like in a scenario where if I was like in front of people, do you know what I mean? So if I was like doing something and I was just stood there for a while waiting, I'd be like,
what? And then you just wink at
to
people?
my friends or something, or
right.
You know what I mean?
So it wasn't like something that you set out of your way to just do at everybody.
No.
So
I wasn't consciously doing it. It was probably like a nervous like thing that I was just like doing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it wasn't like I went to school and I was like, you know what? I've got a cool new thing. I'm gonna wink.
I was just almost like imagining you just like sat there in the classroom and everyone's trying to work and you're just trying to catch people's eyes and just winking at them, or like walking past people in the corridor and then just like winking at them.
Yeah, but I remember getting like told to stand up in assembly.
Right. What had you done? Do you remember?
Not anything bad. It would have been for something like good.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
that's
like an English award or something.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I don't know what it was now. It was something insignificant.
Yeah.
But it might have been we had to do like a little BBC reporter thing, and I like presented on that, and everyone stood up.
Presented
that was
Bullwinkle.
like when they played that was like proper embarrassing as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah. So they told us to stand up. I stand up, whatever, and all my friends are like cheering or whatever. And then I kind of just like looking around, not even looking at anyone in particular. I'm just like, just do a wink. And someone said like, "Ooh, why is he winking at me?" I remember just being stood there and instantly, you know, when you like go, your whole face just flushes red and you're like,
yeah.
I don't think I did that thing. I don't think I was winking at people after that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I remember
that was bad.
I remember something, you know, in line with what you're saying, like when you do it to yourself, it's always the worst. I remember, I think I was in year 8 and it was like a rainy day and, the bell had just gone for break time. And I think we just left geography. It was either geography or history, but I want to say it was geography. That has no relevance to the story. But anyway, we'd walked out of the block and as I said, it was a rainy day. So there were like big puddles in the playground. And we were obviously there in our school uniforms. And I can't remember who started it. I can't remember if it was me or like somebody else. But I want to say the people that were there were me, Drew, as in from the show, Zeuswa the Gold, Bullwinkle's older brother, who's also sometimes co-hosts The Dark Dale, who also just happens to be my oldest mate. So I want to say, it was Zeuswa, Drew, and our old friend Luke Palmer. Shout out Luke Palmer. And I can't remember who started it. It was probably me or Luke. I imagine. Just knowing the four of us, it was probably me or Luke that started it. Anyway, we started kicking puddles at each other. So we were just running up to puddles and kicking at each other, obviously just being little sods, really. And I thought, I'm going to do like the biggest run-up and just like kick the hell. There was this massive puddle. I thought, I'm going to do this massive run-up. I'm going to kick this puddle so hard, like all three of them are just going to get completely drenched.
Right.
And I like ran up to it and I like swang so much force into the kick and like kicking the puddle that I launched myself off the ground. And it must have been for like a split second, I must have been like parallel, like almost like my back and like parallel to the ground. And then obviously gravity did its thing. And then I just landed right in the middle of the puddle. And there were like just kids, or obviously where the bell had just gone for break time, there were just kids coming out of classes everywhere. And we were like year 8 and there were like year 10s walking past and year 11s and all these like goes and that like laughing at me. And I was just literally just lying on my back and I was just like completely soaked through. My ass was like completely wet. My back, the back of my head, literally my trousers just sunk through. And it was like only the first break time of the day. So it was like, what was it? Like 10:30 or something like that. Like 11 o'clock. Like I had like 4 or 5 hours left in school.
That's
and
awful.
I just remember just being like, and literally my friends were just in stitches. Can you imagine? Like
Drew
and Luke and Josh were just literally like crying. They were literally just crying. And I was just like, just lying in this puddle, just soaked through. And it was almost like even funnier because obviously, like my intention was to get them so wet. Yeah. And then I just ended up drenched.
Completely back for instant karma.
Oh, man. Instant karma, instant justice, as they say. But, man, yeah, that was obviously quite embarrassing. Yeah, again, I mean, as I said, I don't know if it's just because I'm an idiot, but I've taken most of these things
on the chin.
I think there were like a lot of people would be a lot more embarrassed than I would be.
Yeah.
About these things. I'm trying to think. I've definitely got some more things. Have you got any more like embarrassing stories off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head,
I'll tell you what.
I can tell friends.
Let's listen to a track now, because there were definitely a couple of different ones that were popping into my head, and then I've like sort of like forgotten them while we've been chatting.
Yeah.
But I know that they're worthwhile like saying about. So we're gonna listen to a track now. This is "Simple Man" by Lynyrd Skynnard.
Oh, that makes me cringe even like thinking about it.
Those are the ones. Those are the best ones, mate. Those are the best ones.
That like assembly one was so bad.
Was it?
So bad. I had like another stage where I had so many like weird little stages like that. I had one stage where I used to be like do that all the time.
Oh yeah, I used to do that as well.
Yeah, but I'd almost be like, and people would have thought it was like almost being like, calm me.
Oh, what?
Imagine pairing that with like the wink, being like.
Oh my god, mate.
But really, I'm just like trying to occupy myself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird that. I swear that was like a thing for a while. I think for me it was like when I was about 18, so like 2008.
It's a bit like Surfer Dudes.
I would just go through a stage like if someone would be like, "Yo, Calum," or "Yo, Pirate, what's up?" I would just sort of turn and be like,
Yeah.
But like, what even is that about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What even
yeah,
is
yeah,
that? As you said, it sort of looks like cool.
Like a surfer thing almost. Like, oh.
It's like, what's up?
Riding
like
the waves.
Or like word up. Yeah. Weird, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's definitely like almost like the more you think about it, the more it's like a bit cringe, really. Like,
oh, 1,000,000%.
It's like you're trying to be a bit cool or something.
Yeah. That's the worst. That's the worst, isn't it? Not. I remember there was like another stage where for some reason I thought it'd be like a really cool pose to do in photos where I like almost like pout. So I'd almost like for like every photo for like a year.
Yeah.
I'm pouting like. And now I look back on it, I'm like, that was so stupid. Like, what was I doing during that time? I think that was like really cool.
Oh, I love it, mate. I love it. It's well good.
Awful.
So good. A Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynnard. Without getting too deep, that's always like a song I actually think quite deeply about, especially when I first sort of like really got into it. The lyrics of that track actually mean quite a lot to me.
Really?
Yeah, because I think that you can take some good lessons away from that song. I think that we should try and be as simple as possible, if you know what I mean. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't develop yourself. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive to better yourself and to become as intelligent as you can be. And
just don't overcomplicate stuff.
Yeah, but I think on a base level, I think be a simple person. You know, don't be overly complicated. Life can be complicated enough as it is. What sort of person do you want to be to your friends and family around you? You know, I hope that I can just be somebody that's like dependable. What you see is what you get. You know what you can expect from me. You know you can depend on me. You don't have to second guess me. You know, that's what I that's what I can
strive for.
Yeah, that's what I can only that's what I can only hope. That I am to the people around me that I care about. You know, and I don't think that's something that can be understated. You know. You know, as I said, life can be complicated enough as it is, and it gives us all headaches at times. You know.
Oh yeah.
So I think the more we can all just relax and help each other to have a good, just relaxing, simple life, you know, the better it is for everyone. Anyway, you are listening to Pandora's Box on Aspen Waite Radio. I am your host as always, Mr. Nathaniel Warren, a.k.a. Young Bullwinkle, a.k.a. The Jimmy O'Malley, a.k.a. for today only, Sherlocko, is here with me in the studio, as always.
That's me.
Mr. Drew Armstrong isn't this week because he's contracted gonorrhea.
Yep. We're here in his memory.
But we are here in his memory. Hopefully,
to commemorate him.
He will survive his bout with gonorrhea and he'll be back with us shortly. We were talking about some of our most embarrassing stories, of which, to be honest, I have so many. And I was saying it's a shame that Zeus Wilder Gold isn't here because he would definitely remember quite a few of them. It's hard to think when you're on the spot, isn't it? But I've got one, and I remember this one I'm going to mention now is I went through a stage of doing this quite a lot for some reason in school.
Okay.
And it's one of those silly things that like it actually is really funny at the time, but it's one of those things I guess it is very easy to get caught doing it. Yeah. And the thing that I used to do to whoever I was like sat next to is you know when you're like in class and obviously your teacher's talking.
Yeah.
I would like turn to whoever I was sat next to, and I would just not obviously say anything, but I would like mouth like I was pretending that I was like like so I'd be like, as they were talking, I would just mouth what they were saying, and I would try and get it as accurate as possible, so it would be as funny as possible to the person sat next to me. Now the person is obviously though, is if you're sort of like trying to turn so you're conspicuous so that the teacher can't see you, you can no longer see the teacher. And yeah, so you know, and B, you're probably looking already like a bit strange if the teacher does suddenly notice you and notice that you're like got your back to them or have like turned to them. They're probably more likely to come and investigate like what are they doing.
Yeah.
And I remember I had this teacher called Mrs. Frost, and I was in science, and I remember who I was sat next to. I was sat next to this girl called Zoe Jennings, so I always got on really well with. Shout out Zoe Jennings on the off chance you're listening. Really nice person, and I always got on with her really well in school. And I was sat next to her, and yeah, I was just doing it loads that lesson. But our teacher, Mrs. Frost, was like, she was the sort of teacher.
I know the one
that she could get angry.
I know the one.
You know, like she could be chill, but at the same time, it's like if she got angry, she got angry.
Yeah,
she wasn't one of those ones that was just like, oh, for God's sake, Calum, like stand outside. You know, she would like lose it, red in the face, like shouting at you. And you know when it's almost like awkward because they're shouting so much and they've gone like red and they're like dribbling because they're that angry. Like she was one of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember I like turned to Zoe and I just was just like mouthing, like just pretending to say what. And obviously it looks like funny, I guess, as well because it was like this woman's voice and I was like coming out of me, who at the time was just like this little chubby lad with like I can't remember if I'd started growing my hair yet, but it was either like awkwardly like growing hair,
right,
or like a little spiky quiff. And then it just like went, and then like I was just doing it for like ages, and then suddenly just this tap on my shoulder, and I just suddenly noticed that everyone else in the class had like gone real quiet. But I like, and like, Zoe almost like wasn't looking at me, and it was almost in my head. I was like, why isn't Zoe looking at me anymore? Like,
yeah, this is comedy gold.
I'm just gonna have to like just keep doing it even more just to keep getting her attention. And then I just suddenly just heard like Calum, and it was like from like directly behind me though, and I was just like, and I just turned around and she was like furious because I guess to her, I was like mocking her. I guess like from her point of view I'd just been like completely mocking her. And I just remember she just like full on gave me a scolding. But yeah, that was pretty funny in hindsight. I remember it was also one of those things, as soon as I realised I was caught I was like just proper on the spot like, oh no.
I've been there. Yeah. I have been there myself.
One thing I did once, which it wasn't actually like embarrassing at all. It's almost like surprising that it wasn't embarrassing because I think most people would get embarrassed, but I just thought it was like funny when I was doing it. Do you know the wrestler Shawn Michaels?
Yeah.
Do you know obviously his intro music?
Yeah. Of course.
You think I'm cute. You know I'm sexy. I
got the looks.
Yeah, so for anybody that doesn't know who Shawn Michaels is, he's a pro wrestler for like WWF. Just like for context, go on YouTube and type in Shawn Michaels intro music. I think it's called just Sexy Boy.
It is, yeah.
And it's a banger, isn't it? It's a belter.
Yeah, tune.
It's a great tune, mate. It's like one of my favourite ever intro musics, but it's also very cheesy and very funny. He's like, I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I got the looks that drive the girls wild. Oh yeah, like so funny. I'm just a sexy boy. Sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. Sexy boy. Yeah, like so good. And then there's like fat guitar solo. It just like rips in. It's like so 80s, isn't it? It's so 80s, like 80s cheese. And once we had this substitute teacher. I think it was for English, I want to say. I know the teacher's room we were in. It was like Mrs. Paige Simon's English room. I always remember that she had a poster of Aragorn from Lord of the Rings on the wall. She really liked Lord of the Rings. And also, she randomly really liked Drew, which it's like Drew was always like a very hit and miss with the teachers. Right. So teachers usually tended either to hate Drew or to really like him. So I can't remember if we talked about it on there, but like, so we went on a skiing trip. I know I'm branching a little bit. I'll get back to my story. We went on like a skiing trip. Me and Zuswa did. Bullwinkle's older brother. And Drew wanted to go on it, but the teacher that was heading it was called Mrs. Clark. Right. And she hated Drew so much that she was just like, no, you're not coming on the trip. And Drew was like, had the money, I wanted to go, and she was just like, no. Like, purely because she was just basically like, I don't want to spend the week with you. That's how much I dislike you.
That's insane.
Yeah, I know. But that's almost. I feel like that's almost like the story of Drew's life. It's either like people think that Drew's great, or they think he's an idiot.
Nutella.
Yeah, and he's like no in between, or like pineapple.
Marmite.
Yeah, or like pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
You know, people are like either like ridiculously for it or against it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting back to my original point. So I think, we had a substitute teacher. I even remember what she looked like. I can't remember her name. She looked a bit like a mole. But
they all do.
No offense. I like moles. I haven't got anything against moles. But she did look a little bit like a mole.
Good animal.
Yeah, it's a good animal. It's a good burrowing animal. A good nocturnal burrowing mammalian.
Yeah.
And I remember she started telling me off for something. And for some reason, as she was like mid telling me off, and I just started going, dun, 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 I think I'm cute. And I just started, and she was just like, Calum. And I just like started singing it, and I was singing it louder and louder to the point where I just like kicked the chair out, and I got up, and then I did like, you Shawn Michaels sort of thing. I like bent over, and I was like, I'm just a sexy boy.
In the
But
face.
the best thing about it was I broke her. I freaking broke her, and she started like laughing and smiling, and like she like couldn't take it seriously when she started like laughing.
Nice.
And then I literally was like basically started like performing, and like how Shawn Michaels does it, he almost like shrugs his shoulders, and he's like, I think I'm cute. And then I did the little like bicep pose where he like leans down. I literally like kicked my chair out from the back of me and was like doing it in the middle of class, and all the other like pupils must have just been like, God, what is Calum doing now?
Yeah,
literally
everyone still want to get on with their work.
And I'm just there doing that. And I just remember like she was like Calum, and then I just like carried on doing it, and she almost was saying Calum less and less, and then she just almost was like just broke into like a little smile, and then just almost just started giggling, and then once I'd like finally finished almost like the whole like lyrics, I'd like finished like the whole thing with like that, and then it's like when the guitar solo would start, I guess I just like stopped and then like sat down again, and then she was just like, by that point she was just like giggling, and then she was like, okay, let's just get back on with the lesson. I just like completely broke her.
Oh, wait a minute.
She was like gonna like fully like scold me for something, and instead I just sang "Sexy Boy" by Shawn Michaels to her in its entirety, did the pose and everything, and then just like, but it's almost like at the time I wasn't embarrassed, obviously, at all. But I look back on it now, and almost like I don't find it embarrassing now either to think back on it, but it's almost like what I think is almost like funny is almost like how it must have almost been embarrassing for everyone else in the class. You know, when almost like something so cringe, you're like, oh man, I'm like embarrassed for them.
Yeah.
I can just imagine like some of the more serious pupils in the class must have just been like, all of my regular antics that I would have got to in school, just constantly just being silly.
Yeah, frowned upon.
As I said, like, just for some reason, my story before, just like mouthing the teachers or what they were saying, like to the person next to me, doing things like that, like singing "Sexy Boy" and that, just to and just somehow getting. People must just been like,
oh my god.
So the people that weren't my friends that I didn't like speak to regularly, and that weren't similar enough to me that they thought it was great, they must have just been like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
What the hell is he doing? Sorry. That was a good time, though.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
They're good memories.
Yeah,
to look back on.
Definitely.
Some of the best, I think.
On that note, we'll listen to another song now. That was End of Days by Black Label Society.
There you go.
I'm going to give you a little preview now of next week's show. Today we've had quite like a casual, chill one. It's just been me and Bullwinkle in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
We've been shooting the breeze.
Having a laugh.
We've been having a laugh, talking about our embarrassing stories. We did talk about the Canis Pugnax as well, about Romans, the Roman war dog. So we have talked about a couple of bit more intellectual stuff. But next week we've got a really good one for you. A friend of the pod. Recently got in touch with me. A couple of weeks ago, I got a message from a guy called, I believe his name is Patrick Rees. Sorry if I butchered that, Patrick. I believe it's like a Polish guy living in Britain that contacted me, and he suggested that we talk about the famed winged hussars of Poland. Now,
that sounds cool.
I know a thing or two about the winged hussars, but I didn't want to rush and do it because I want to do the story justice. So I have been doing some research into the winged hussars, but it's not complete yet. There's still a couple of things I want to cover, a couple of things that I want to talk about that I know that I would be interested about that I don't know yet. So I'm going to cover all my bases, and then next week we will
come with facts
about the winged hussars. Some of the most legendary cavalry in all of history.
I'm excited.
I'm talking like
I'm excited.
They could not be more legendary. And for the Polish people, I know that they are like a massive, almost like status symbol in Poland. Like they are so proud of the Winged Hussars, and so they should be. So they should be. Literally, as I said, some of the finest cavalry, if not the finest cavalry, the world have ever seen. So thanks for recommending that, Patrick, and we appreciate you.
We're on it.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
We salute you, sir. We salute you.
I've got a fact for you.
Hit me.
You know the song Peanut Butter Jelly Time?
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Yeah.
Do you know how he died?
No.
The singer of Peanut Butter Jelly Time.
He didn't choke on a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
No. That would be too ironic. He died in an 11-hour police standoff during which his brother-in-law, who is Snoop Dogg, attempted to calm him down and convince him to surrender.
Whoa. What? And he got shot?
Yeah.
He got shot and killed by the feds?
Yeah, he was in an 11-hour shoot-off with the police. Snoop Dogg had to come and calm him down
with one of those what are they called? Not a microphone, but you know what I'm on about. You know the one of those projects voice,
probably.
Hey man,
probably yeah.
Chill out, dog.
I'm telling you, Snoop Dogg has done everything that ever is to do in life.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's lived a life.
He's one of the people, we were talking about Christopher Lee. I feel like Snoop Dogg's one of those people that's lived like a crazy life.
Oh, he's definitely lived a crazy life.
Yeah.
To be fair to him, he's still going as well.
Yeah.
You know? Like obviously, a lot of people in that game, so to speak, have died, long since died. You know, whether it's like Notorious B.I.G., Tupac, a lot of them, Eazy-E.
Yeah.
You know, he's like one of the last surviving. Him and like Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And like Ice Cube are probably like some of the only like originals. Do you know what I mean? Like when you go back to like NWA day.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool though.
Crazy.
That's also.
Crazy.
Did you know that the lead singer of the Mamas and Papas? Do you know who the Mamas and Papas are? You've probably heard them before.
Probably heard of them.
Oh, the leaves are brown.
Yeah.
And the sky is grey. Real famous song from like I want to say like 60s or 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, did you know that the lead singer of that, Mama Cass, right? Do you know how she died? She choked on a ham sandwich. Literally, she choked to death on a ham sandwich. It's one of those like random stories, like Elvis apparently died on the toilet, didn't he?
Yeah.
Elvis died on the toilet. Mama Cass died eating a ham sandwich.
And the Peanut Butter Jelly Time man
died in the standoff. What mental ways to go?
That's crazy.
On that note, we have come to the end of the show.
Oh.
Pretty much. And on that, so, be careful. If you're ever eating a ham sandwich, be careful. Also be careful if ever you go to the toilet.
Or if you're in a standoff
or if you're a standoff in the police and Snoop Dogg turns up and tells you to chill out.
Then chill out.
Do what he says, because otherwise you might get shot and die.
Yeah.
So tune in next week again. We're going to find out all about the Winged Hussars and a plethora of other facts, as always. So cheers for chilling with me and young Bullwinkle this evening.